Hi there guys, and welcome to another Trainson 2018 video. Today we are doing a route that I knew it sort of existed but hadn't really given it much thought, to be honest with you, and hadn't actually looked it up. It's available on UKTS. I'll put the link in the comments, okay? It'll be the top comment, and that is purely because people seem to be finding it difficult to find links in the description. So I'll make sure the link for this route is in the comments, not the description. I'm unsure of the requirements. I can't remember what they were. I installed it a couple of weeks ago and I haven't had a chance to go back and check, if I'm honest. So this is the Marston Vale line. So this is Bedford to Bletchley. And this is a Chris Horsfield scenario, so CHS scenario. It's available on his website. It is already released. It's been out for about a week already. As you can already tell, we're in a 150-1. No? 150? Yeah. 150-1, isn't it, without the gangway. So I'll stop whittering on. We'll get going. We'll learn a little bit about the route, take a look at it as well. Detail-wise, I'm impressed. I'd like to know what you guys think of it, considering it is a freeware route. Joins onto the Midland Main Line, and it's quite exciting, really. It is quite exciting. Okay, let's unpause the game and read our blurb. Let's get that on. Is that the right one? I don't remember this one. Yeah, it is. We'll get our tail lights off, get our instrument lights on, and we'll get our marker lights on. We'll also just give it one of those, and that should have changed me to Bletchley. Brilliant. Okay, good afternoon, driver, and welcome aboard. Welcome to Bedford. Today you'll take a nice afternoon run along the Marston Vale line with train 1 Sierra 16, which is the 13:55 service to Bletchley, calling at all stations en route. Open the doors and allow boarding and prepare for departure. Currently all lines are running as normal. Let's get those doors open. Let's take that off because we've got a green. And it's a nice chance to drive this again. I mean, I don't often drive the 150 that much in videos anymore. I tend to do a lot of it in the stream, mainly because quite a lot of the guys that follow the stream do actually quite like the 150s. We'll have the windows open for a bit of sound. And let's have a look at the route. So the Marston Vale line is Network Rail Route MD140. It's the community rail line between Bletchley and Bedford in England, formerly part of the Varsity line between Oxford and Cambridge. That's why it's quite exciting to me. You guys know I'm not actually from Cambridge, but Cambridge is where I live. The line was opened in 1846 by the London-Birmingham Railway through the London-Birmingham merger with the Grand Junction Railway to become the London North Western Railway. Whilst construction was going on, the LNWR ran it from its opening. The line later became part of the cross-country Varsity line from Oxford Rewley Road to Cambridge. Opened in stages between 1854 and 1862. The line was threatened in the late 1950s and again in 1964, though the Bletchley to Oxford and Bedford to Cambridge section succumbed in 1967. The Bletchley to Bedford section survived. In 1977, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Nationalised Industries recommended that electrification of more of Britain's rail networks be considered. By 1979, the British Rail presented a range of options to do so by 2000, some of which included the Marston Vale line. The proposal was not implemented, so it's a diesel-only line, which we've got quite a lot of diesel-only branch lines in train sim now. And I am definitely not moaning, because it is a wonderful idea that people can just go out and make these routes. And you don't have to worry about the overhead wires. Overhead line work. I was speaking with Speedy Pete, who is currently working on the new section of the West Coast Main Line, but also did the cross-country route. And he was talking me through his sort of route building techniques while previewing the West Coast Main Line route the other day, and he was saying that the overhead line, just to get the overhead line in, can take as long as doing the scenery on a set stretch of track. So to do 1 mile of trackside scenery takes quite a long time, but just to do the overhead line can take the same amount of time. So say it took an hour to do a mile for scenery, it also takes an hour just to do the overhead line. So you can see why that would put a lot of extra pressure on route builders. So that is probably why we have more of a glutton of diesel only branch lines than we do electrified ones. It's very pretty though, very pretty. Of course, I think these should be 700s, but just because Super Alps is actually halted work on the 700 at the minute, they're not included in this scenario. It's not a line I've had the pleasure of driving, being on myself. It's going to go on my list of routes I have to do. It's really strange because actually some of these places on this route I visit quite regularly. Stuartby being one of them, and I was thinking about getting there by rail. It is a nightmare. I'd have to go down and up again because there's no clear way between Cambridge and Oxford anymore, and Cambridge and Oxford, but let alone Cambridge and Bedford. Considering it's only, what is it, 35, 40 minutes in the car to Bedford from me. Also, this opened my eyes to a station I didn't know existed. I didn't know Bedford had 2 stations. Is that just ignorance on my behalf? I'm sure it is, but Bedford St John's, had no idea about it. Quite liking the clutter on the track in the platforms. People on bridges, things like that. People at level crossings, if I remember rightly, for this route as well, which is quite nice. People haven't watched trains. If I was walking over that bridge and saw a train coming in, I would definitely be stopping to have a look, even if it was a 150. I must say, as much as I'm blown away by the functionality that's packed by AP, the sounds are beautiful. So Silverlink operated the route from privatisation in 1996 until 2007. Services were initially in the hands of a mixture of heritage slammed or diesel and bulk units, formed of 2-car Class 117s and single Class 121 units until replacement with 150-1s inherited from Central trains, which is what we're driving. London Midland took over in 2007. Until the 9th of the 12th, 2017. Then they used a mixture of Class 150-1s and Class 153s, and they were inherited. Well, the 153s were inherited from Silverlink. That seems a bit strange to me, but maybe they were. No expert on that sort of thing. On the 10th of December 2017, West Midlands Trains took over the franchise. staff and rolling stock operated as London North Western Railway. So that's who's operating it now. The line is part of the Network Rail Strategic Route 18, SRS 18.12, and is classified as a rural line. Passenger services are operated by West Midlands Trains using Class 153s and 150s. An hourly service operates each way, Monday to Saturday. It's one of a number of British railways that is covered by a community rail partnership, in this case known as the Marston Vale Community Rail Partnership. Like other community rail partnerships around the country, the partnership, once more, aims to increase use of the line by getting local people involved with their local line. They do this by various means, such as holding community events, running special train services, and publicising the line locally. From December 2018, West Midlands Trains is to introduce Class 230 D trains. So these are the old D stock by Viva Rail onto the route, replacing the current trains. So to see some sort of representation of those in Train Simulator pretty soon. Apart from a short length of single track at both ends, the line is double track and is not electrified, barring short lengths at either end. It has loading gauge of W8 and a line speed of 60 miles per hour. The line signalling centre is at Ridgemont. So proposed developments. This is interesting because this really sort of includes me really. The East-West Rail, Marston Vale line is one of the two remaining sections of the Varsity line still in passenger use. Programme to reinstate the entire Oxford-Cambridge line is described as East-West Rail. So that's what they're going to call it, and that is full connection east to west via Oxford, with Oxford and Cambridge at each end. It's one of those things that people have been going on about for a long, long time, and it just hasn't happened. You see the man with the dog there at the level crossing? I like that. It does always seem to be when you're on the train that people at level crossings, like the little ones, always tend to be people with dogs. And it's, footpaths and things like that people like to use to take their dogs for a walk, I suppose. But it's just a nice little touch. So yeah, the east-west rail route we'll come on to a little bit later, but we'll just carry on with Marston Vale for now. In June 2005, then franchisee Silverlink Trains announced the intention to extend the Marston Vale service via the West Coast Main Line to Milton Keynes, where a new platform and track would be built alongside the Upslow track. Work began on the 4th of December 2006 at the station to prepare for a service connection. The platform was ready for use in January 2009, but the service did not materialise, and there are no longer any published plans to do so. The service pattern on the East-West Rail remains to be announced, specifically whether there will be any explicit Bedford-Milton Keynes services, or whether passengers will continue to have to change at Bletchley. As of January 2018, there exists no north-east to north chord between the line and the West Coast Main Line. The route the chord would take is currently occupied by trade outlets and warehouses. So again, you'd sort of think, to me it's quite strange that this part of the country it isn't well connected to other places locally around it. It's not much of a network. You can get to London and stuff, that's absolutely fine. I suppose you can do a lot of changing, but actual direct services and things, there really isn't that many of. And a Bedford-Milton Keynes run, I think, would be quite a nice little run. So this is Kempston Hardwick. Another small station with not a lot around it, really. Wonder how well used it actually is. I think the least used line in Bedfordshire, somebody said, is on here. The least used station in Bedfordshire is on it. It could be this one. I'm not 100% sure. Do apologise about the barking dog, if you can hear that. I hope you can't, really, but you will. And that's Rosie. She's free if anybody wants her. Just ping me an email. Not really, I do really enjoy my dogs. Right, okay, where are we going to go to next? We were going to talk about the East-West Rail. So the East-West Rail is a major project to establish strategic railways connecting East Anglia with central and southern and western England. In particular, it plans to build or rebuild a new line linking Oxford and Cambridge via Bicester and Milton Keynes at Bletchley and Bedford, largely using the track bed of the former Varsity line. Thus, it provides a route between any or all of the Great Western, Chiltern and West Coast, West Midlands and East Coast and East Anglian, Great Eastern main lines, avoiding London. I didn't even think about it like that, but it really would, wouldn't it? The new line would provide a route for potential new services between Southampton Central and Ipswich, Norwich via Reading, Didcot and Ely, using existing onward lines. The western section from Oxford to Bedford was approved by the government in November 2011, with completion of this section expected in 2025. Electrification, though, is not planned. The plan is divided into three sections. Western section from Oxford to Bedford on existing lines, including the mothballed section between Bletchley and Claydon Junction. The scope of this section includes a branch line to the Aylesbury Central section from Bedford to Cambridge, using some of the existing lines together with a new section. The eastern section is from Cambridge to Norwich, Felixstowe and Ipswich on existing lines. Cambridge to Norwich and Felixstowe. That would be quite interesting as well. It was initially promoted as the East-West Rail Link by the East-West Rail Consortium, a consortium of local authorities, interested bodies along the route since 2013. It has been adopted by the Department for Transport in late 2017. The government announced that it will be delivered by a private sector consortium, the East-West Railway Company, in place of Network Rail. So it's going to be private sector built, which is quite cool. I don't know if that will actually happen. It's not something I completely agree with, but I suppose it is quite new, a newish idea. As of December 2016, the segment from Oxford via Bicester Village to the junction with the Chiltern Main Line is operational. And I do remember that coming online, actually. It seemed like a lot longer ago than December 2016, though. Oh, wrong way, Alan. So this is Stuart B. This is somewhere, funnily enough, that I end up going through or being near quite often. I don't really know why. A lot back in the old days, it was to do with OSY racing on the lakes. I remember going to some. And I'm not a theatre person in any way, shape, or form, but I've got this weird recollection of going to some Gilbert and Sullivan concert. Stuart B for some reason. Why? I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was. In modern times, I've got a mate that lives not too far from here, so that's why I end up sort of being through it quite often. Again, was never sure, never really noticed it had a station as such. But knew it had a train line through it from the brick pits and stuff. I don't know if there is any freight at all, actually, that still goes through. I don't know if any of the brick pits are still active. It'd be interesting to find out. If any of you guys know, do let me know. So the origins of the East-West Rail Group. The link was promoted by the East-West Rail Consortium, which was initiated by Ipswich Borough Council in 1995 and has since been chaired by both Buckinghamshire County Council, Oxfordshire County Council. Ipswich County Council and its neighbours were particularly concerned about poor services within East Anglia and the links to London. Some success was achieved east of Cambridge, at least partly through the efforts of the group. In April 2006, the Office of Deputy Prime Minister reported itself to be in favour of the principal reopening of the link between Bedford and Oxford. In May 2006, the Department for Transport announced specific plans for Bletchley Railway Station. The document stated that it's likely that Bletchley area renewals and network simplification will take place by 2010 to include a high-level platform for Bedford trains. The network will be suitable for the later additions of any east-west link to and from Oxford for the operation through links from either Oxford to Bedford and from Milton Keynes. Did that happen? I don't know. I don't think there's any high-level platforms at Oxford, is there? This is Millbrook. The Millbrook test circuit is. Those of you that are into cars will know about Millbrook. And anyone who's watched several episodes of Top Gear. Or was it Quantum of Solace? One of the car chase scenes. Car chase scenes was filmed at Millbrook as well. It's a very pretty line, very well modelled in Train Simulator as well. I mean, it's not going overboard at all on scenery-wise. There are some bits that you just sort of think, this could be absolute payware. It's really nicely done. They've stuck to the sort of Edinburgh Glasgow design of only modelling what you can see from the cab, which I really, really like as well. Some of the details fantastic. In fact, that bit of detail there is exactly what I want as a screenshot. Let me try and get a bit of pulling away going on there. That looked quite nice. So stations along the route start at Bedford St John's. Then you've got Kempston Hardwick, Stuartby, Millbrook, Liddington, Ridgemont, Aspley Guys, Woburn Sands, Bowbrick Hill, Fenny Stratford, and then onto the West Coast Main Line for Bletchley. Oh, coming in very, very fast there. I wasn't concentrating. I was watching a cab ride video of this route before I did this. Just look at the driving style, really, of how the route is driven, and it seems like they brake quite early. It might have just been the driver that was on the video, but there was definitely a lot of early braking on this route, and I'm not sure if that's why that is, or whether it was just the driver that's on the video. So I have tried to model that slightly. You may notice I'm trying my best to drive sensibly. And I'm aware I should be pulling my reverser down before I open the doors, but it's getting into practice of doing it. It's getting into the practice of doing it. It's not something I'm used to, if I'm honest. But I'm trying to at least, especially these shorter routes, I'm wanting to be able to learn HUDless. Completely inspired by Peter of PTG Rail fame. Just being able to do that would be wonderful, really. Is it Ridgemont? Is it Ridmont? Rigmont? Not too sure. You guys, I'm sure, will help me out with that in the comments. It's a small, unstaffed railway station that serves the villages of Rigmont and Bedfordshire. I'm guessing it's Ridgemont. I think I'd also like to do this run the 153 as well. I think also because these are quite short platforms, There's not much room for sort of any sort of error, really. So this says the village at Ridgemont was about a mile away. That's quite a nice little bit about it. Still really nicely done. I mean, there is no complaints on the level of detail on this route whatsoever. The guy who's done this has done a phenomenal job. I always find that some of the UKTS routes just get missed. I mean, there is 20,000 files or something on UKTS. That's a lot of files for people to go to, and if they if you don't really know what you're looking for, it's not the easiest website to use. It takes a bit of perseverance, doesn't it? I used to use the forums regularly, and that's how I'd hear about little bits and pieces coming from different places, but I haven't used those in a while. Although there is a Cambridge-Oxford route in the making on UKTS, which I'm really excited about and looking forward to seeing, and I haven't checked up on the progress of that. Leave that for the next video. I'll give you some updates on that when I can get over there and check it out. Next station is Aspley Guys. Strange name for a place, isn't it? So it was opened by the London North Western Railway in October 1905. Became part of London Midland and Scottish Railway in 1923 grouping. The station passed to the London Midland Regional BR in 1946. This is the interesting bit, and this is what I'm telling you about this station. It was built initially as one of the 7 new halts for steam rail motor services between Bedford and Bletchley. So through that whole blurb that I've just read about this line, it didn't mention steam rail motors until Aspley Guys. Between Bedford and Bletchley, inaugurated in the autumn of 1905 and was initially constructed of old sleepers. It temporarily closed for 2 years in January 1917 to May 1919 as World War I economy measure. Under LMS auspice, it had its platforms rebuilt, and these were lengthened again by BR in 1959. So 4 years before they were moaning and saying they might close it, they extended it. When sectorisation was introduced in the late 80s, the section was served by Network South East until privatisation of the British Railways. The initial operating franchise was, of course, a Silverlink County. Oh, this is another staggered platform. I'm also really like this route because I think most of the platforms we're going to are quite staggered, which is nice. Yeah, this is pretty. Oh, it's done step 2 there, that was silly. So next station is Woburn Sands railway station. It serves the villages of Woburn Sands and Wavendon, the borough of Milton Keynes in Buckinghamshire, England. The station's on the Marston Vale line, which we know, and we know it's operated by We know it's operated by Silverlink as well. So the interesting bit about this is the station building and signal box. Woburn Sands is a black and white cottage station building, one of 4 of the same design that are unique to this line. 2 of the others remain at Fenny Stratford and Millbrook. The building is a half-timber Gothic revival structure that has been insisted upon by the 7th Duke of Bedford. Here we go with the original railway company's been told how to do things by the people that owned the land. It was for stations close to the Woburn estate. It's grade 2 listed. It opened with the line in 1846. At one point, it had a sizable goods yard serving various local businesses, including a brick factory and a gasworks. So brick factories are quite common. Well, brick pits and factories and stuff are quite common around this area. In August 2004, Woburn Sands lost its Victorian signal box to the development and modernisation of the route. Until 2004, the line was controlled by staffed signal boxes located at various stations, but the entire line is now controlled from one signalling centre at Richmond. So I wonder where it was. So this route is obviously post 2004. I mean, watching the cab ride video, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really take into account the route. I was more looking at driving style. I don't actually have access to the video anymore, which is a shame. So I'd like to know from you guys, does this look accurate? How many of you have got it? How many of you guys have been driving this? As I said earlier, I'm still always amazed at what crops up that I've not seen or heard from in the freeware category, I suppose. So just reading interestingly here, so Bowbrick Hill, until 2004, Bowbrick Hill was unique on the line for having staggered platforms, after me talking about it earlier. The purpose of this is so that road traffic on the level crossing was not held up by trains standing still on the platform. However, recently a number of other stations, including Asby Guys, which we've just seen, have been rebuilt to have their platforms staggered, also as part of the Bedford-Bletchley route modernisation. Another oddity about Bowbrick Hill is that the road crossing here, the V10 Brick Hill Street, has a roundabout immediately on the other side of the crossing. This causes traffic jams whenever the crossing barriers are down, as each roundabout clogs a traffic queue and remains so for up to 10 minutes. We'll have a little look at that when we get there. That's pretty cool. It's not really, is it, if you live anywhere near it, I suppose. He's looking a little bit close to the track there. Whoa. How real drivers do things like that in real life sometimes does astound me. If it makes me nervous on train sim, fair play to them. Fair play to them. Right, let's have a look at this. Traffic's caused a lorry to sit on the track, which is quite irritating. Oh, would this be the roundabout here, I'm guessing? It's actually come right through the barriers. Probably sick of waiting 10 minutes to cross the line, isn't he? It's a Fenny Stratford. Strange name. One of the main things to say about Fenny Stratford was it was originally built with staggered platforms, a wedge-shaped down platform being near the Simpson Road level crossing to the east. Oh, I thought that 25 was before that. A little bit stuttery here. Number of signs at Fenny Stratford to reduce an unstaffed halt was reduced. Ah, right. Sorry, read that wrong. Fenny Stratford was reduced to an unstaffed halt in 1968, freight facilities having been withdrawn the previous year, and as of March 2018, the station remains unstaffed. All that now remains is one platform and an area of wasteland to the east of the station before Simpson Road crossing. So there you go. Interestingly, this is so far the only one of the stations I can find that has anything about accidents and incidents. There was an accident here on the 7th of December 1925 at 8:43 p.m. when a bus crashed through the closed crossing gates on Simpson Road and collided with the 6:30 p.m. train from Cambridge to Bletchley. 6 people in the bus, including the driver, were killed instantly and 4 others were seriously injured. The train, however, was undamaged. which unfortunately I'm sure was the case quite often in those days, with wooden-bodied buses and large metal trains. So I'm guessing that would have been this crossing. So next station is our final destination, that's Bletchley. Not going to go too fast up here, maybe stick another 5 mile an hour on before we slow back down to cross on to the West Coast Main Line. Well, there's a 153 over there by the looks of it. There is indeed, look. So in your scenario, you will have some 350s buzzing around you about now. Unfortunately, mine are failing to show up. So I need to do a quick reinstall of the West Coast Main Line Trent Valley. But you will see a little bit more AI around this point than me. So interestingly, Bletchley is according to this, one of 6 railway stations serving the Milton Keynes urban area. 6 stations. Seems like a lot, doesn't it? So the urban sub-areas, this isn't train stations as such, this is just an ONS says that they are Milton Keynes, Bletchley, Newport Pagnell, Woburn Sands. Some 325s over there as well. That's nice. I will show you those as well. They are Aces Trains reskin into Royal Mail livery with the correct logos, which are actually very, very nice. Running about 2 minutes late into Bletchley, which isn't too bad for one of my videos. So stick that to full service. Bring you actually to off for now. Open the doors. Stick our tail lights on. And that's our shift done for the day. I'm going to take you over quickly to have a look at the 325. Oh, gone too far. So this is Kev Butler of Aces Trains' new Royal Mail livery 325, which is available on the Aces Train website and the Facebook page. And even my Facebook page is the link for it as well, which is very nice. I do like that there. Chris has added them in very nicely. There's another 150 coming in now as well. Alright guys, thank you very much for joining me. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have already subscribed, I've been noticing quite a lot of you saying you haven't noticed some of my new videos have been coming through. Not to sound like every other YouTuber in the world, but do feel free to tick the little notification bell with these noisy voyages. Tick that notification bell, that will tell you as soon as one of my new videos are up. Do head on over to Twitch, join me on Sundays from 7 PM and Wednesdays from 7 PM. And head over to Facebook. 1,800 odd people on there, really good laugh, really good crack. Tech support has very gifted people on there as well as just a general crack and a laugh. So once again guys, thank you ever so much, and I'll catch you again next time.